Rusty Quill presents The Magnus Archives.
Something funny, Miss Perry?
Yeah.
Care to share?
I think it's pretty obvious. You wouldn't shake my hand.
Well, no, I'm not stupid.
Oh, alright. Oh, I hate explaining jokes, but, imagine you're, a butcher, and one day an injured little lamb walks into your workshop and strides right into one of the mincing machines, but when you go up to it, knife in hand, it shakes its head and says, "I'm not stupid." You get why that's funny?
Right.
I suppose it's not really me, is it? Would you rather be a really stupid piece of firewood? Not alone, but yes. You should have seen how devastated they were. Such a loss. Stop that! And it was because Nicola Ustinov asked us to. She was done with the place, and we're always happy to help. When that help is destroying something someone loves.
But
No more questions, Archivist. She's not one of your little stories. That burnt-faced little runt. He got what was coming to him. Just like...
Yes, you could easily kill me.
That a fact? Are you trying to talk me into killing you? If I wanted, I could reach through your chest like Ronnie Wax and hold your heart while it cooked. We're in public. No one would even notice if I didn't give you time to scream. You talk about God and death and demons nice and loud, and watch people bend over backwards not to listen to what you're saying. No one cares. Hard to say. When I look at you, I feel that burning liquid pain eager to flow out and purify your rotten carcass. But I feel that a lot.
Oh. More or less than normal.
Hard to say when every nerve ending's on fire. Hard to tell degrees. Is that another joke? Oh, please. Your God is nothing. The eye beholding, ceaseless watcher, whatever you call it, that's all it does. It watches and knows, sitting bulbous and comfortable in the ignorance of infinite knowledge. I serve a reckoning, a surging tide of destruction and pain. The desolation, blackened earth, the destructive, agonizing heat of burning flesh and land scoured of life, the light, the comfort of fire stripped from it, leaving nothing but the terror of its approach. When it triumphs, it will leave the eye a burned and shriveled husk that sees nothing but its own agony. You don't even know what this is about, do you? An archivist pleading for knowledge. That is satisfying to see. Yes, now you're sounding like an archivist. Oh, no, I'm obviously not going to kill you. Consider it a favour. Not for you, for Elias. The rumour is he killed Gertrude Robinson. If so, I feel like I owe him. And he clearly wants you alive, so The unfathomable contest of eternal forces is not the only reason I might want someone dead. Try to compel me again, and I'll burn it out of your mouth. Now you're scared, now you're getting it. There's no safety in sitting on the sidelines watching. The audience is only safe when the story isn't about them. No. Maybe I do want to tell you a story. I'm going to give you some advice. Aren't you going to say your words? If you smother a flame, it dies. The only way it grows and flourishes is if you feed it. It's about making sure you find enough fuel for it, and not caring where it comes from. If you spend your time hiding and fretting about who you hurt, you'll sputter, and you'll die as surely as any candle. Don't be afraid to burn. The pain is sensational. You feel your flesh cooking, your nerves screaming out as they die exquisitely. Your whole body changes texture as you become that which feeds the fire. And in that agonizing, beautiful transformation, you can feel it ignite again and again and again. At least, that's how it feels for me. I don't know how it would feel for you. Maybe you get an itchy eye. I don't care. Point is, whatever form it takes, you have to feed it for it to grow strong. Otherwise, you're the one that gets consumed. I never hid my flame. Not once. Even before I found my god, I burned as bright as I liked, and those who came too close simply ended up fueling my brilliance. At the time, the closest thing I had to God was cocaine, though I also spent my evenings as an acolyte to alcohol. But my true thrill was money. Not mine, of course, though I had plenty, but the money of others I could fling upon the pyre of the stock market. Whether it ignited into something more or simply burned down to ash meant nothing to me. It was the thrill that I craved. This was decades ago now. I was one of the top bankers for... It doesn't matter, they're not important. Not to mention that a series of severe fires has long since put them out of business. The point was that I burned through too much of myself because I didn't know what else I could burn. My girlfriend saw it, though she had no idea how to help with the deep depression that had settled over me. I never slept much to begin with, but now even the choice seemed denied to me. I was sluggish and listless at work, and people began to notice. My rating began to drop. My colleagues would whisper and, not so subtly, leave me off invitations for what little socializing there was. I was burnt out in every sense but one, and that was the one that saved me. It was Agnes, of course. I don't know where she found me. I only remember sitting in a booth with a beautiful young woman who smelled like matches and incense. I was drinking coffee so hot it peeled the skin from the roof of my mouth. But I didn't care, because looking at her filled me with every kind of heat. We were talking about sacrifice, about power, about things that even now I struggle to fully understand. She was soft-spoken and shy, and I gradually became aware of other people stood around us. There seemed nothing remarkable about them at first. Different clothes, different ages, just a dozen or so unremarkable strangers. There was something in their faces, though, a vicious hunger that I knew mirrored my own, and they all looked at Agnes with such devotion. One of them, a round-faced black woman I'd later know as Sandy, squatted down next to me and stared into my face. She made a noise of dismissal and leaned in close to stare at me. She said, "I don't think so," and her breath hit me like a furnace. I instinctively thrust out a hand to push her away, but as I touched her face, she remained still, and instead my hand sank into it like softened candle wax. I screamed, but if anyone heard me, they didn't do anything. I could only stare as thick rivulets of molten flesh flowed down my arm and onto the ground, and Sandy's body shook as though with laughter, even as my hand stayed encased in her warped and yielding head. I probably don't need to describe how much it hurt. It would be a long time before I was able to use the hand again. At last I calmed down enough to pull my scalded, wax-encrusted hand from her head. She stood up, pressed her fingers to her face, and calmly squeezed it back into shape. It didn't look exactly the same as before, though there was no mistaking the voice that came from her lips. She turned to Magnus and nodded her approval. Magnus, for her part, had been talking this entire time, I realized, and somehow I had been listening. I knew what to do. Nicholas Tregenza was the one that I chose. I had other colleagues I hated far more, of course, and in many ways I might have even called Nick a friend, but unlike so many of the others, he had a lot to live for. His wife, Julie, had just given birth to a squalling brat that he'd named Desmond. Awful name for a baby. And he'd saved enough money to move away from London entirely. He'd just bought a house. When he spoke to me, he had hope in his face. And so much life in him, it still makes me smile to think about it. I invited him out for a drink to celebrate his good fortune, got him drunk, and stabbed him to death in a filthy alleyway near the edge of the Docklands. He didn't even have the wherewithal to look surprised. His skin didn't yield as easily as Sandy's had, but I suppose that's what knives are for, isn't it? And just like that, he was dead. And I felt no different. I had a minute of blind panic. How could I have been such an idiot? I hadn't even planned ahead to consider how I might dump the body. I was just so desperate to stoke the fire. I still felt sputtering inside me. Then, all at once, I saw the faintest tongues of smoke creeping around his body. In an instant it was burning, and I was surrounded by that smell of matches and incense, mixed with an oily smell like cooking pork. And as he burned, I felt my senses sharpen. My limbs were alive with searing energy, and my heart was aglow with love. The agonizing, terrifying love of something that I knew must be a god. My god. The lightless inferno of desolation, of pain and destruction. My tears of joy were nothing but steam. Nick's body didn't completely burn to ash. Of course not. There needed to be something to identify. After all, what does my god care about death? It was the destruction of his life that it hungered for. The agony and fear of his wife and child, those that loved him. So they had to know he was dead. Killed and mutilated in a pointless and unforeseeable act of unutterable violence. Then it was simply a matter of forging his signature on a few documents, implicating him in some very illegal transactions to get his assets stripped from him. Oh, and burning down the new house, of course. And with each act of glorious, hateful destruction, I felt my God's love embrace me, consume me, give me life. Any feelings of pity or mercy I might have had for the poor woman I fed from were cauterized. Julie's dead now, of course, though I do keep half an eye on their son Desmond, see if he has anything worth taking from him. At first I channeled this new energy into my job and my relationship. Gretchen and I had never been happier as I moved from one success to the next. I think she realized there was something else going on, though. Perhaps she suspected how much my mind drifted to Agnes when I held her in my arms. I know she wondered about how I started keeping petrol in the cupboard, and about my newfound love of scented candles, but she never asked, never even mentioned it. Perhaps on some level she knew as well as I did where we were headed, but there are some things you just have to accept, that in the end they'll cause you pain. I should have been caught, really. For all that it gifted to me, my faith did little to hide my crimes, beyond ensuring they were scoured of physical evidence. And I know the police were investigating a possible serial murderer targeting people in my industry. But for whatever reason, they never gave me a second look. I later learned my new brothers and sisters of the Lightless Flame had taken it upon themselves to help hide my crimes. But even they are only human. Some of them, at least. I now know they were simply guiding me upon the path to my true epiphany. All this time I was serving my God, but only for my own glory. But with each new gift, each renewal of the fire, I saw how lifeless and hollow it was, how grey and ashen my existence had become. It became clear that where once I had destroyed to fuel my life, I now live for the pain that I caused. And for Agnes, my sweet, hopeless Agnes. And so I ended it. For all the agony and pain on Gretchen's face, she didn't seem surprised when I doused myself in kerosene and set it alight. I think she screamed. She must have screamed, but I couldn't hear it. As the heat warped my bones and bubbled my flesh, all I heard was the loving exultation of my God. Huh. I suppose you did compel me after all. Try again, and I will actually kill you. I don't care what favors your boss might have done for me. I will tell my story to your smoldering corpse. I met Agnes in 1989 and completed my transformation in 1991. Wax is remarkably easy to mold. Oh, come on! You're going to need a much stronger stomach than that if you're going to walk this path. It's like you're not even listening. You have your God as I have mine. Feed it, fearlessly and without hesitation, or it will feed on you. You're the one it picked. Not a great choice, if you ask me.
Is there anything else you can tell me?
Yes.
Anything you're willing to tell me?
No. It's fine, you can call it a cult. And no, they wouldn't hesitate. They're not as friendly as I am.
Well...
Wait. If you're really keen to keep chatting to things that could kill you, I might know someone. We're not on great terms. He's closer to your lot than mine, but I know where he exists. Calls himself Mike.
Michael?
I guess Mike is normally short for Michael, yeah?
Corridors, laughs like a headache.
What? No. He's pale, got a big weird scar, smells of,
Ozone!
Yeah, that's the one. Hangs around with the Fairchild sometimes.
Michael Crew.
That's him. I know where you can find him. Not for free.
What do you want?
Well, nothing much. Just shake my hand.
What?
You hurt my feelings earlier. I want you to shake my hand. Come on. It won't hurt. I lied. Fancy seeing you both here. To what exactly do I owe the pleasure, the honour, of being graced by the great and powerful archivist, harbinger of this new world, and his valet? What a treat. Excuse me, you came all this way just to ask that. If you want to know so badly, why don't you just reach into my head and pull it out? What difference does it make if
Just answer the damn question.
No, I had no idea. Why do you think? Because I wanted to hurt you. Because you were annoying and I didn't like you, so I hurt you. Look, I don't care, okay? I don't. Breaking over the past like it matters, like it means anything. The past is dead, Archivist. Ashes in the wind. We're here now. And that's it. But I didn't. So the real question is, what happens now? What's wrong? Scared of a little flame? Oh, you are, aren't you? Pathetic.
Leave him alone.
You're not scared, though, are you, Archivist? Yeah, but you like seeing their pain, don't you? Their fear. You and that stupid eye. God, you make me sick, lording it over everybody like you own the place. You're just leeches. Oh yes. Parasites on the real monster.
Enough.
Fine. Just messing around. Wouldn't want to keep you from your oh so special business, your holiness.
I wouldn't worry about that.
What's that supposed to mean?
I'm here for you, Jude.
What? No. No way. You won. What would be the point of... You're bluffing. Oh, I see. I get it. You finally get a sniff of power, and the first thing you do is try to settle some old scores. Play the big man. Get off on some good old-fashioned petty revenge.
I'd have thought that was a mindset you would appreciate.
Oh, piss off. Look. Wait. Right. I'm sorry, okay? I shouldn't have burned your hand.
No, you shouldn't have.
Please don't kill me. Sure, I'm moaning about the eye. Who doesn't? But we've won. Both of us. And that's great. If I'd known what I still have marked you, yes, I would. I'm happy in this world. I belong here. And so do you. Listen. You're enjoying this, right? Of course you are. You want to use those powers of yours to hurt people. You want to murder everybody who can't fight back at you now. I can help you. You're not better than